like $2,075,000, I think,
Wow.
and then at 2,000,000.1, we unlocked that next stretch goal, which is this cool Codex of Cryptozoia, which is an ongoing web episodic web thing we're going to do where we have this journal, like these two explorers, and they're writing journal entries. So it's kind of like, we show you all the different creatures in the world and these really cool write-ups, and we're going to update that on the website. The goal is every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So there'll be some nice serialized content. You can keep coming back to the website that goes along with all the articles we're doing, so it keeps everyone engaged. So I'm pretty sure we're going to hit that in the last couple of days here. We're going to give everyone some more set 3 packs. We've done kind of an interesting thing. You mentioned like the Kickstarter and how we've run it. Will Brinkman, the gentleman who is does art acquisitions with me and also is just sort of a jack of all trades, amazing talent, has run this thing and done a great job with all the updates. And for our stretch goals, we always tried to have like a feature, so we're add a feature or add something, and then also give you a reward. So we kind of went like a double step on each of the stretch goals. And so I think that people really responded to that. I think, I tried to give a ton of value in the Kickstarter, and we announced today what our, after the Kickstarter ends, there'll still be a way for you to donate via PayPal, but it's, way, way different in terms of the value to your money. And, right now on Kickstarter, you're getting 3, 4, 5 times your value in terms of your money or more, so like up to 10 times the value, really. And this is the last time that's going to happen.
Nice.
Once this Kickstarter ends, the Slacker backer stuff is nowhere near as sexy as it is on Kickstarter right now. And the thing about a game based on virtual collectibles and with a secondary market and all that other stuff, we're very, very careful about guarding the integrity of that. And so in the future, you're not going to see value like you're seeing on this Kickstarter ever again. This is it. There's one chance to jump in and get a giant, bonus head start.
People already want to know what the stretch goal is after 2.1 million.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it sounds like you pretty much covered all the bases. You got books. You got a web series. You got.
I know what it is. I was tempted to do a joke and make it $10 million and say I was going to make a feature-length film, but I think people would get upset if I made.
I'd love to watch that and take part in that. I'll dress and drag.
Perfect.
He's hot. Bobby's hot in the dress.
You've used Twitch as a promotional and a communication tool. How well has that worked for you? And I gotta let you know something too. The cardboard samurai artwork actually is in the Twitch office, the one that's on the same card. So
nice.
I feel that's a good sign, if anything.
Yeah, well, I'm good friends with Mike and Jerry. I've known them for a long time. And so, and they gave me a great compliment, and they did a comic about the game when we launched the Kickstarter and did a nice post about it. And really, I felt like really kicked us off in the right direction by, driving the Penny Arcade crowd to check it out. And I, couldn't have been more grateful. And then, I make the comic book, The Lookouts, with them. So I've been a huge fan for many, many years, and I've been lucky enough to be friends with those two. But doing the Cardboard Tube Samurai just felt like kind of a fun crossover thing. We're going to be very careful about that sort of thing. I can't imagine you'll see much more of that, somebody else's IP entering the world of Hex. But in this case, I just had to do it. It was just too fun.
Yeah, just one little shout out, but it works. It works.
Yeah,
The ones that the characters that I really like that you've shown off are the Shin Hair. Let me see. I know I got a picture of them in here somewhere because they're like evil. They're like part of the quote unquote evil. They're not evil. They're what, dark? Dark, is that a good word?
No, they're evil.
They're evil?
They're the bad side, the underworld is evil. And the good side, the ardent, is good. Like, there's not the kind of, everyone's just here, and some are kind of misunderstood, and some aren't, but we're kind of all together. There's two sides. There's the evil side, and there's the good side. And the funny thing about the evil side, there's 4 different groups on the evil side: the Necrotic, the Shin Hair, the Venin, and the Dwarves. And they're all kind of a different type of evil. And so, with the Necrotic, they are this sort of, conniving, manipulative. They've got this master plan. There's a whole big, all these races have giant backstory. And the Necrotic, which are basically a construct, they're the awoken bodies of the humans that have had bits of the gem, the Hex gem, put into them. They've awoken, and they have an agenda, and they're the ones who actually brought the evil group together, basically. And so the necrotic are kind of like that, the conniving. They have a plan. They're the masterminds. The Shin'hare are just kind of jerks. They're this like feudal, this samurai culture that is all about hierarchy, and they want to enslave other races. They are evil in the sense that they are controlling and want to dominate everything. They want to, and that's how they got into trouble, because originally they weren't part of this group, but they got driven out because they were trying to enslave the Coyotl. And eventually they got driven out, and they found this race called the Shroomkin that they were able to immediately enslave because they were just these sweet little mushroom people. So, and also there's no value to life for the Shin'hare, because the way that they work, they'll just breed 1,000 shock troops and send them into battle to die. They don't care. They'll just make more Shin'hare. It's kind of a rabbit thing. And the ones that survive are all mangled, or they're battle-worn veterans. They get to ascend in the culture and in the society and become people of importance. So you have no importance until you have sort of gone through this trial of fire of being a warrior to ascend into this place of honor. And then the Venin are basically have been birthed by a giant demon spider god, Primal, and she captured orcs and used them as the raw genetic material and turned that material into these half spider, half orc Venin, and they're just like the most classically straight, vicious evil. They sacrifice people. They're into torture. They're just this horrific, real, visceral, like evil. And then the last one, the Dwarves, are evil in the sense that they're the kind of least evil in a way. They believe that they were constructed actually as part of this larger backstory to destroy Entrath, basically to reset it. And so their whole thing is that they believe there's this mechanical god at the center of the world, and his goal is to actually destroy Entrath. And so their whole thing is that they build all these machines, and all this stuff that they do, all this invention, is all about building things to sort of reduce everything to rubble. So they're hyper-destructive. So they're evil in the sense that they want to destroy everything, including themselves at times. But so that makes them part of this group. Their agendas align.
They're kind of gothy, maybe a little bit goth industrial.
Not gothy. They're more like steampunk sci-fi meets high fantasy, and they are made out of rock basically. So some of them are missing pieces, and they'll just plug a mechanical bit on there. So they're kind of interesting, and they have a very singular focus, and that is like the progression of this technology they're building. Now they have access to the hex gems to further an agenda of destroying all of Entrath. So it's not that they have an emotional sort of component to it. It's more just a straight-minded, like, this is what we do.
Nice. Now, what about who's on the opposite side? Who are the good guys?
The good guys, the Ardent, are made up of the humans, the Coyotls, the elves, and the orcs. The humans are very classical storybook humans. Imagine, they have winged warriors that ride on songbirds, and there's this whole thing with they have like these knights that are all bonded to these giant wolves, and the primal of these giant wolves made this big sacrifice, and so there's all this amazing story. The human story backstory stuff is one of my favorite pieces of the whole game. But they're basically there's no evil in them. They are this classic storybook good guy, sort of almost monochromatic in a way race, but there's incredible depth in terms of the storytelling about how they're challenged by this sort of worldview. And there's the Coyotls, and the Coyotls are this anamorphic coyote race, and they are kind of American Indian.
Right here.
Yeah. So they have this very spiritual side to them, and they see the much larger picture, and eventually they're going to reveal the bigger backstory of Hex and why the Hex meteor hit the planet, and what the larger, like, they're the only ones that sort of see the bigger picture, the cosmic picture, because they actually can walk the cosmic trail basically, and all of their shamans have this incredible wisdom. And so they are this very interesting group, and I love the Coyotl. I think they're very cool. Then we have the elves, and the elves are part of the original. There were only originally two types of magic on Entrath. The whole idea of Entrath was that it was low magic meets high magic, and so originally there was wild and blood, and those things, wild was this hardly controllable. You were born into it. It was nature magic and big effects. Or there was blood, which meant sacrifice, which was actually sacrificing other people or parts of yourself or your energy to create magical effects. And those things were very hard to control. Very few people could do it. And there was a power structure built around that. and then when Hex hit the planet and left all the high magic style gems everywhere, so now all of a sudden everybody had magic at their fingertips. It broke everything apart, created the necrotic, and also made all the power struggle change. And so the elves were the original masters of all that wild magic, and they are ancient. They live forever, basically. They're tiny little. I mean, they're about the size of a 14-year-old, so they look, sort of like teenagers. They're kind of a cross between like the sort of Shakespearean sort of design kit, that like Midsummer's Night's Dream. I'm mangling that.
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes.
You got it.
Anyway, so they have this kind of Shakespearean feel to them. Titania and Oberon were their primals, and they worship beauty, and they're master craftsmen, but they're also very badass warriors because they've had forever basically to practice. So whatever they get into, they sort of master, and they're very connected to nature.
Nice.
You made them very interesting. There's all these little fairies. Their giant forests are